You're listening to That Teacher podcast, hosted by me, Alyssa McDonald. I'm that teacher who decided enough was enough and started an online business to fund my own 2-year maternity leave from my teaching job. This journey has been life-changing, bringing me opportunities to lead and grow in ways I never thought possible. Now, I'm on a mission to help other educators, moms, and impact-focused entrepreneurs find ways to build the online business of their dreams so they can have the time freedom and financial freedom they deserve. So grab a cup of coffee and let's bring your wildest dreams to life. Sometimes in business, the biggest impact moves we can make are the most simple. And if you only have an hour or two a week to work on marketing your online business, I'm assuming you do. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably working a full-time job, or you are parenting, or you're doing something else, and this online business is really your side hustle. If you're only going to work on marketing your business 1 to 2 hours a week, then we need to make sure that the things you're doing in those 1 to 2 hours actually pay off. They are actually making you more sales or driving growth in your business somehow. And I bet there are a few areas in your business where you've spent a lot of time or you've spent a lot of money, but you're not actually seeing the results that you had hoped for. I'm trying to push you to take a look at that and see, where are these places in my business where I have already spent a ton of time or a ton of money and they're not actually doing what I wanted them to do. And then let's see if we can improve those. These are it's like low-hanging fruit, right? You've already put a chunk of money in. Right now, I'm talking about your website. I would venture a guess that you either spent a big chunk of money putting your website together, paying someone else to do it, or you spent a ton of time trying to figure out how to do it yourself and actually building out your website yourself. But is your website actually giving you the results that you had hoped it would in the beginning? What got me really thinking about this is that I started going back to the gym. I have not been to the gym really consistently since before I had kids. And of course, it's really hard to carve out time now that I have the 3 kids, but I have found an hour a day, 3 days a week that I can show up there. And when I'm there, you better bet that I am getting every rep in. I am not cheating myself out of anything. I'm not doing anything halfway, because I'm only going to be there 1 hour a day, 3 days a week. If I'm lucky, if I don't get hurt, I'll be back. And then I want to make sure that everything that I do actually pays off. We need to do the same thing with marketing in our business. If we're going to spend a small amount of time there, then let's make sure that the moves we're making actually give us the payoff we're looking for. In this episode, I'm going to share with you 5 tweaks you can make to your website to make sure it's giving you a really good return on the investment of time and money that you've put into it. Let's look at tweak number 1, which is very simple one. By the way, these 5 tweaks will take you just a couple of hours this week. Let's look at the headline on your website. This is the very first thing that your viewers see when they come to your site. It should answer these 2 really important questions. Who is this website for? And what problem will this website solve for me, the viewer? It's really not about you, the person who owns the website, and how cool you are. It's about me, the viewer. What can you do for me? And I know that sounds really selfish, but remember, the people looking at your website are pulled in a million different directions. They have their social media on their phone pulling them. They've got emails in their inbox. Somehow they landed on your site because they have a problem to solve and they think you can solve it. So I want you to tell them right away, before they go bounce off of your page and onto the next thing, what can you help them with? And really make sure it pulls them in. As a bonus, if your website headline could make your customers or potential customers feel something, this is a little trickier and a little deeper, but that can really be impactful as well. Try sitting with the question, how do I want my ideal customers to feel when they land on my page? And try to think about what the solution that you're building, your products and your services, what feeling will that bring them? Is it relief? Is it a sense of calm or peace? And then how can you weave that into your headline? Again, I know it's a bit trickier, but it is possible. So I wanted to give you that little piece of advice so that you could sit with it. Okay. My current website headline, and I did just tweak this, is money making advice for impact-driven entrepreneurs. Let's think about if that answers the 2 questions I just mentioned. Who is the website for? It is for impact-driven entrepreneurs. What will it solve? It will give them money making advice. So it will help them obviously get more money. Very simple. You want to call those two things out before they have to scroll at all. It should be right at the top. Should not be too many spaces. There should be nothing above this. This is right at the top before they scroll. We'll talk more about why that's really important later in the episode. It needs to be simple. It needs to be clear. It does not need to be clever or catchy or anything like that. It needs to be clear. So it might be kind of boring. It just needs to be clear. Okay. Once you make that change to your website, what I want you to do is then watch your website analytics, because making a change to our website doesn't actually make a big impact on our business unless we watch and make sure it's having an impact and then either tweak it again or keep it. This is all marketing is. It's just a series of experiments that we run, reflect on, run again. This tweak to your headline of your website does you absolutely no good unless you check in on it. So again, later in the episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how to check in on this, but just keep in mind that whatever copy you come up with to answer those two key questions for the headline of your website, those can be tweaked again if what you choose right now doesn't quite work. We always want to be tweaking that headline. Okay, business website tweak number 2. Make sure that this top section where your headline is of your website also has a very clear call to action. No one should have to scroll to take an action. In my opinion, the most important action people can take at this point on your website is to add their email. Because if you have 5,000 people visit your website per month, that's 5,000 people that were interested at some point in something you had to offer on your website. But if 4,999 of them leave your website without leaving their email address, then it doesn't matter at all that any of them visited. It's as if they didn't visit at all. They disappear, right? So let's grab their name and email, or even honestly just their email. I don't even care about their name at this point. Let's grab some information from them as quickly as we can. That is the easiest grab. What's best is that you have your headline, and then right underneath your headline, you have just an email box with a button. And the thing that people are trading for their email address could be your freebie, your lead magnet. It could be your email newsletter, whatever. Just give them a chance to enter their email as soon as possible. If you've ever been on a website where you were like in the middle of doing 10 different things, but you landed on this website and you're like, this is really cool, I'm going to come back to this, and you save it to your bookmarks, tell me if you really went back to it, because I bet you didn't. If it's anything like me, I don't go back to anything I ever bookmark. But if I put my email address in, I am more likely to remember that I visited that website because I'll get some emails in my inbox that remind me to go back there. So that's why I think it's really important to capture that email as soon as possible. And then you can keep nurturing those people who visited your website with really, really valuable email newsletters and email segments. We can talk about that another time. In my website, I recently revised all my copy. Underneath the headline I read you before is my call to action. Right underneath, I have this tagline. It says, boost your business savvy in 5 minutes with simple marketing tips, job opportunities, and business insights from that teacher who turned her little side hustle into the full-time business of her dreams. And then it's just an email box and it says subscribe for free. That is a call to action to subscribe to my newsletter. But notice I didn't just say, subscribe to my newsletter. I was really specific about what would be in the newsletter. Nobody just wants to subscribe to a newsletter. They want to know what's on the other side of the curtain. So we want to peel that back a bit for them and really tell them what they're going to get if they put their email in. And we want to grab that before they even have to scroll down on the page at all. Make those 2 tweaks this week. You can do it really easy. You've got this. Website tweak number 3. Put some testimonials in there. Your homepage should have testimonials. I know it feels a little bit weird to have testimonials on your homepage, but trust me, people who are coming to your website need to know that you are the one. And I think especially now that we have a lot of AI generated blog posts out there, they need to understand that you know what you're talking about and you are bringing a creative and unique perspective to your work that others appreciate. It's social proof that others are benefiting from the solution you offer. You can add the testimonials about you and your knowledge and your creativity. You can also add testimonials about your products. So if you sell digital products and you have a bunch of reviews, just do a screenshot of some of those reviews and get them right on your homepage. We need to know in this day and age that the person we are connecting with on the internet is like a real human who actually contributes value for others. And then we know that it's worth our very valuable time to be on that website and consuming that content. If you have testimonials about your podcast or your email newsletter, those also work really well. Again, just screenshot them, stick them on your homepage. It just helps people feel more comfortable about investing their time and money with you. And we want those testimonials to be front and center. We don't want them hidden on your about page. We want them right on your homepage. You can sprinkle them in throughout your homepage wherever it makes sense. I have a whole section where I just kind of stuck a whole bunch of screenshots in one spot, and they all refer to my Teacher Hustle University program, which is the main thing that I'm selling on my homepage. It's the main call to action. Website tweak number 4. This one, you're going to make your own tweak. Okay, we're going to take a look at some really simple data. Don't panic. Don't turn off the podcast episode just because I said data. We're going to keep this so simple. We're going to go over to Google Analytics. If you have not yet set this up, I'll put a link in the show notes that walks you right through it. It takes about 5 minutes to set up. I know it's a little tricky, but you can do hard things. We can get this set up, and then once it's set up, you're good to go. Then it can be a little overwhelming when you click in because there's a whole bunch of data to look at. You don't need to look at all of it, but it would be great to start with a few simple things of note. First, bounce rate. This goes back up to website tweak number 1. How quickly are people clicking away from your website? If it is a very quick time that people are on your site and they're bouncing in like under 30 seconds, your headline and your call to action up at the top becomes even more important. We want to try to increase the time that people are on your website. Second thing I want you to take note about are the different pages on your website that people are most interested in. This gives you some great data about what people are coming to your site to look at, and you're going to create more of that. The last thing I want you to look at, again, keeping it really simple, we're going to look at user acquisition, which is where are people coming from when they come to my website. If you have long form content, a good chunk of your user acquisition should be coming from Google search. If it's not, we're going to take a look at tweak number 5, which is where we do a deeper dive into what's happening with your long form content. Now you have some simple data points to help you make a different tweak to your website that I didn't mention here, and to help you track the first couple of tweaks that I talked about. Is it working when we tweak that headline and we change that call to action? Did it actually keep people on our page longer? If it didn't, and you're looking at it a month or 2 from now and it did not keep people on your site any longer, change it again. Change it again until you've got really the right formula to keep people on your page and keep them interested. Okay, the last tweak. This one kills me because so many of you are working really hard to publish long form content. I'm talking about blog posts, or if you're not doing blog posts, maybe you're taking your podcast episodes and you're putting your transcripts on your website in hopes that some people will find you on Google search and make their way over to your website and then make their way to buying your products. And by the way, some of you are spending money on having someone else do this for you, but you are not tracking to be sure that that is actually working. Again, this is all experimental, so we always want to check back and see if it's working. If I go back to the exercise analogy, you wouldn't go to the gym an hour a day, 3 days a week, and then not look in the mirror to see if you were gaining any muscle mass, right? You would check and see. And if you weren't, you would change and do something differently. The same goes with our website and the efforts we're putting in to set up this website or anything we're doing in marketing. Google Search Console. It is a very easy tool to set up. Again, just like Google Analytics, you're going to take 5 minutes. You're going to figure it out. I'll put a link in the show notes if you don't have it set up yet. And by the way, it can take up to 6 months to see the results of your long form content actually show up here in Google Search Console. But if you've had long form content going for even a couple of months, we should start to see some results here. What's happening in Google Search Console is you are able to see exactly what you are ranking for, what keywords you're ranking for, and you're also able to see which pages of your website are being indexed by Google. In other words, which pages of your website will show up in a Google search. A lot of times, some of the blog posts you are writing are not even showing up in a Google, like they cannot be shown in a Google search, even if your keywording was spot on, because it has not been indexed. I have specific directions for you to check and make sure that every URL on your site is being indexed. You can do this with Google Search Console. You can also do it with keywording tools like Ubersuggest or SEMrush. They will tell you which pages of your blog and your website are not being indexed. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes you don't want sites to be indexed. For example, if it's a password protected page on your site, or it's something you just wouldn't want to come up in Google search, like your privacy policy. But all of your blog posts that you've been putting your time and money into that are good keyword-rich blog posts should be being indexed by Google. And if they're not, it's a really simple fix. You're just going to copy the URL, paste it into Google Search Console, and kind of send it over to Google basically and tell them, hey, you should be indexing this. It is a little time consuming, but it's something that's completely worth it. Please take an hour this week and just look at Google Search Console and see what is going on with your search terms that you're putting time and effort into. All right, you got your to-do list cut out for you for your couple of hours this week you're going to take to tweak your website. Make sure you let me know how it goes over on Instagram, Alyssa A. McDonald, or if you get stuck and have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be talking more about these kinds of marketing experiments in upcoming episodes, so stay tuned and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to That Teacher Podcast. I have a lot of resources for you in the show notes. Make sure you subscribe to my Monday mixtapes and tune in here to the podcast to learn more business and marketing strategy to help grow your business to the business of your dreams so that you can have the financial wiggle room you've been hoping for. Looking forward to supporting you in your journey.